An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I'm sure you've heard this time and time again, but no matter how often you hear it, the saying still rings true. Prevention saves time, saves money, and saves lives. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Sandra Clark. In today's program, we equip you with the knowledge you need to be an agent of prevention. Stay right there.
The following is brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with kind support of NIA and USAID.
Criminal minds think they are cunning. The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency have them running. Your friend a shout, come scam. Take time running, are we ready for the ops? Drive up on your block, step out now me block, cyber take a boy your laptop. Pull up every lock, no evidence a drop. We put it in a cuffs and now we have the underlap. Sin you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Please say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for. From you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Please say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for.
The proceeding was brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with the kind support of NIA and USAID.
MOCA, MOCA.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, November 8. A joint police and military task force will be deployed over the next 8 weeks to carry out intensified safety and security measures during the Christmas season. This was announced by Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang yesterday. He was speaking at a press briefing supported by Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson and the JDF Chief of Defense Staff Lieutenant General Rocky Meade. Dr. Chang says the measures are to ensure that law-abiding citizens feel safe while conducting business.
These additional measures are part of our overall crime management strategy and will see a significant ramping up of police presence, particularly in the commercial districts and public spaces. This will be accompanied by other strategic, targeted, and intelligence-driven security operations to bolster public safety, maintain public order, deter acquisitive and violent crimes, and further disrupt the gangs that are the source of much of the crimes.
Lieutenant General Rocky Meade said over 400 new recruits from the Jamaica National Service Corps would be deployed to support the measures. This is in addition to the JDF's intelligence capability and specialized equipment.
This will result in more snap raids, more patrols, more checkpoints, and overall more soldiers and police in the affected communities.
More than 1,500 residents of Ginger House and surrounding areas of Portland now have easier access to their communities after the installation of a new swing bridge. The bridge was provided at a cost of $7.1 million and replaces the previous structure, which was destroyed during heavy rains in 2014. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie, who officially opened the bridge on Wednesday, says 6 communities were affected when its predecessor was demolished.
Now, what normally used to happen is that they used to have to cross the river. Parents used to carry their young ones on their back to get them to school up and down the river because access has been cut off.
The minister told residents that the main road leading to the community would also be given urgent attention for repairs. Still in Portland, ground was broken for a new male ward at the parish's infirmary. The ward at the Portland Infirmary is to be constructed at a cost of $45 million. There are 59 residents at the Portland Infirmary. It is outfitted with several amenities such as rainwater harvesting fixtures, while a therapeutic park is to be erected during the construction of the male ward.
We're using Portland as the pilot project for the model infirmary across the country. We want to give a different look, a different feel to how we treat these people.
The local government minister also disclosed that by year-end, 500 mattresses will be distributed to the island's infirmaries. Government is looking to create alternatives to incarceration for non-violent crimes, primarily those committed by persons with psychiatric disorders. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says recommendations have been made for the development of a range of interventions for such situations. A 2018 audit of the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center revealed that of the 1,550 persons incarcerated, 203 had been diagnosed with mental illness.
The goal for us in this room and outside is for persons with a mental illness to be diverted to treatment and services in the community, as said earlier, instead of entering the justice system, and for the prevention of re-entry into the system by mentally ill offenders.
Dr. Tufton was speaking at the University of the West Indies on Wednesday at the launch of a research paper on incarcerated persons with mental illness entitled Through the Cracks. He says the research is timely and is in keeping with government's Speak Up, Speak Now campaign, which seeks to raise awareness on mental illness. He points out that the ministry will host a forum later in November to discuss the increase in mental health cases in Western Jamaica. And finally, Jamaica's cybersecurity apparatus is to be strengthened with the adoption of an international best practice standard for security. eGov Jamaica Limited is now being certified at the ISO 27001 standard.
We have been working to implement our security based on that standard for the last couple of years, and we're at the point now where we expect to be officially certified as compliant sometime during the next fiscal year.
eGov's Head of Security and IT Risk Management, Philip Freckleton, was speaking during Monday's airing of OPM Connect. He says the agency has been utilizing various approaches to ensure that security is built into government's ICT infrastructure, particularly with the sharing and storage of data.
From our perspective, what we do is we exercise a certain level of diligence as far as security goes, which means that we ensure that our systems are properly configured, we ensure that we apply patches when they need to be applied, we ensure that we don't expose services that don't need to be exposed. So basically, it is, as I say, a level of diligence we apply to how we manage our environment to avoid or reduce any likelihood of hacking.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Yo, this is We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during, and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to OPM.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
We still have a few more days before the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season ends on November 30, and as such, we should still be on the lookout for natural disasters such as hurricanes and tropical cyclones. If we are prepared for these eventualities, then the damage and losses will be greatly reduced. Watch this.
Jamaica's location in the Caribbean basin makes us vulnerable to the eventualities of the hurricane season. It is therefore critical that from June to November we always prepare for tropical cyclones. The location of system formation and their usual paths places Jamaica at risk for the entire 6 months of the hurricane season. Systems form in the Western Caribbean, that's Jamaica's location, or in the Gulf of Mexico at the start of the hurricane season. But as we move through July and August, we see development more in the Eastern Caribbean. Systems that develop here tend to move towards the west in the general direction of Jamaica. Then around September and October, we see systems developing more off the west coast of Africa or over the open waters of the tropical Atlantic Ocean. But the tendency again is that they move towards the west with a slight drift to the north, again placing Jamaica in a bullseye position. As we go into November, there is a shift to development in the Western Caribbean once again, sometimes in the southwestern region, but they move towards the north. Again, Jamaica is a target. So if we look at the trends over the last 18 years, from year 2000 to 2018, we see that several systems have affected the island, such as Hurricane Ivan in 2004, Dean in 2007, or even Sandy in 2012. Many people say that Ivan only passed close to Jamaica. It never really hit us. But it was a direct hit. We came within the ambit of the most tremendous wind speeds that are associated with a tropical cyclone. The eye wall moved over the southern coastline. Dean in 2007 was another hit for us. The center of the system was off the south coast, but again, we came within the eye wall of Dean as it moved along the south coast. And in 2012, we had that visitor from the south. This was Sandy, moving over the eastern part of the island, making its entry near Harborview and exiting around Port Antonio on the northeast coastline. It moved across the island as a Category 1 hurricane. We also had some systems that had unexpected but significant impact over the island. We had Wilma in 2005. This was one of the most powerful hurricanes ever formed. The system lingered in the early stage of development just off the southwest coast of Jamaica. We got 2 weeks of heavy rain, even though it did not move over the island. And then in 2008, you might remember Gustav. Gustav caused significant flooding and devastation as it moved across the country. And it was not even a hurricane, it was a tropical storm. Then there was Nicole back in 2010, which caused severe flooding even though it was not even named a tropical storm when the rains were pounding the island. We also had systems that didn't affect us despite our preparations. 2 of the most memorable ones were Tropical Storm Earl and Hurricane Matthew, both of them occurring in 2017. If we look at especially Matthew, all the models were projecting a direct hit for Jamaica, but that is not what happened. Instead, it moved a little toward the east and it devastated Haiti. Some persons may use this as an excuse for not taking hurricane warnings seriously, but remember that despite the technology and the advances that are made in predicting the path of these systems, tropical cyclones are still somewhat unpredictable. It is always better to be prepared for systems that might hit but don't, rather than be unprepared for one that hits us. So the message I want to get out there is about being prepared all the time, because a tropical depression, a tropical storm, or a hurricane could be a threat anytime before or during the hurricane season.
Garbage collection, maintenance of public sanitary conveniences, upkeep of cemeteries, provision of water shops, road improvement, street lights, poor relief programs, community beautification. All these services are funded by you. Yes, they are, when you pay your property tax. Pay your annual property tax to make Jamaica the place of choice for all.
One of the main causes of flooding in parts of Jamaica during the hurricane season is blocked drains and gullies resulting from improper garbage disposal. So it was quite fitting that during this week's OPM Connect session at Jamaica House, proper garbage disposal and composting measures were discussed. Learn more next.
Welcome to OPM Connect, the program that gives you an insight into the policies, programs, and plans of government. I'm Naomi Francis. Today we look at public cleansing management, and we're pleased to be joined by 3 very important people who deal with solid waste management in Jamaica. Mr. Audley Gordon, the Executive Director of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, Ms. Aretha McFarlane, the Director of Operations at the NSWMA, and of course the man who deals with the money section, Mr. Andrew McCrae, Finance Director at the NSWMA. Let's talk about the role of the National Solid Waste Management in terms of what you've been doing over these last few years to ensure that public cleansing is at an optimum.
Thank you for the question. We have set about transforming the National Solid Waste Management Authority, or as they say at the office now, building up this new NSWMA. And we have in place probably the best board that's assembled in Jamaica, headed by Chairman Dennis Strong. And they have tasked us to work along a particular set of core values that is grounded in the acronym ATTIRE, A-T-T-I-R-E. A for accountability, T for transparency, T for teamwork, I for integrity, R for respect, and E for excellence. We have gotten significant percentage of the NSWMA staff right across Jamaica to buy into ATTIRE, and so people begin their A game to work each day now. And I think I start there because it's fundamentally important that we address the human resource before we look at everything else, because that's what drives everything else, really. So right now, staff morale is at an all-time high at the agency. We are training people in record numbers. This morning, our directors meeting, we were looking at the amount of people that we have trained and that are awaiting training. Record numbers, almost weekly, we have people going off for training. What we are trying to do, build capacity, and in so doing, build efficiency, and give Jamaica the kind of entity that they can be proud of.
Let me go to Aretha McFarlane, because certainly you're in charge of operations. Tell us a little bit about the network and how do you deal with that kind of integrated approach now in terms of the modern kind of family and communities?
Well, what we encourage persons to do is to containerize their garbage, which makes it easier for our sanitation workers to pick up when they approach each and every resident's gate. However, what we are now asking of our residents is to separate your waste.
So containerize, meaning put in the big plastic bags and separate. What kind of separation are we talking about now?
So we are talking about our compostables, which are our garden vegetable cuttings, or fruits and vegetables. Separate those because we can compost those. Also, our plastics and our papers, anything that can be recycled, we ask for them to be containerized separately because it is important we have that sort of separation at source.
Many people are not used to that. It will take some amount of public education and change to get that going.
Totally agree with you. So the new NSWMA is embarking on a lot of public relation, a lot of campaigns going out in the different regions. We are talking to schools, we are talking to communities, we are talking with everybody that we meet on a daily basis just to get that cultural shift that we need so that we can operate effectively.
Before now, all our facilities were operating without the environmental permit. Since we started the upgrade, we now have 3 having permits and to operate. That means they're operating legally now as disposal facilities, certified through NEPA. We intend to have all of them up to that standard. So the upgrading work will continue because solid waste management is not just about picking it up at your gate. It's not about just chucking it to a facility. It's also how you manage it at the facility also. So we are improving in that area, and improvement have come to the point where we have gotten certification now for 3 of the disposal facility. But more importantly, Arita just touched on the separation. 67% of what we currently transport on a truck to a disposal site is compostable.
We're talking about your vegetable cuttings and those kind of things.
Vegetable cuttings, the peeling from yams and banana, those kind of stuff. All those things. When I was a child, those used to feed the animals, those used to be thrown back into the field, like your garden, your kitchen garden, your vegetable garden, you know, people use it on their farm. It is rich soil nutrients when we compost those things. And the composting process is a very simple process. We are going in now, working with other groups. We're striking up a partnership with SDC and RADA to go into every nook and cranny of Jamaica to get the composting doctrine become a way of life where people just do it at will, at source. So that when we talk about separation, a lot of people believe that separation has to be some grander program. It's as simple as you just picking out those things that are compostable from your garbage. But Jessica just gave us 2 new trucks, and we're going to be using at least one of them, maybe 2, into a separation pilot, where we're going to ask people to separate their plastic in select communities. We'll be coming to the media very soon with the communities that we are targeting, and to have them separate the plastic and we will send those trucks for the plastic, because it makes no sense to ask you to separate the plastic if we don't have special trucks to come for it, because you mix it with the regular garbage, it gets compacted back in, it defeats the purpose. So we want to have special units that will come on special days for the plastic. So we move the plastic out. And if we can get the compostable out and we get the plastic out, it's very little left to take to a disposal facility.
Absolutely.
So it ultimately will mean that you need less trucks and less disposal facilities too.
So we're moving the process really in the 21st century.
We are transforming the solid waste management in Jamaica.
Let me go to Mr. McCray. What would your wish list be, really, when we're looking at solid waste management in terms of how do we properly fund it and outlay it?
We have prepared our budget for the 2020-21 year, and that budget is way in excess of what we actually receive for this current year. So we are hoping that through the increase, the proper improvements in financial management that has been seen, where we now have unqualified audited financials and they're up to date, the first in the history of the company.
Very good, and that is a feature that is now a priority, because in the past you used to have the books not audited for years.
Yes, so we have.
Well, good.
We're hoping that with
Congratulations
this
to you.
improved information that now has greater value, that we will be able to get a significant greater percentage of what we are asking for in our budget, so that we can properly manage the affairs of the company. It was mentioned earlier by Mr. Gardner with regards to the trucks and how many reliable trucks we have. Now, if we are able to properly maintain those trucks, we'll then be able to increase our collection significantly. So that having the significant funds is important to how the operations will be able to improve.
Last question, right? Aretha, here we go. Who do we call if the garbage is not picked up? You have a tip line that you have for the public?
Oh, yes, we do. So we have also a WhatsApp line, which the number is 876-448-3220. Toll free, you have 1-888-253-2652.
Fantastic. So
also, we have a website.
Oh, please tell us about that.
Yes.
An integrated website.
Yes, you can go online depending on the region that you fall in, maybe NPM, WPM, SPM, or NEPM. You can select your region and place your complaint or queries there.
Thank you so much, the team from NSWMA with us here on OPM Connect this week. It's really been a very enlightening discussion on solid waste, and I look forward to seeing you in the schools, communities, churches, talking about all this and reaching people in terms of talking about the integrated and new way of doing things in terms of solid waste management. It's been my pleasure with these last few minutes speaking with the team from NSWMA. Remember that you can also contact us here at the Office of the Prime Minister with your questions, concerns, or comments at askopm@opm.gov.jm. That's askopm@opm.gov.jm. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us next week for another interesting discussion.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash, no paper, no dash, no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
Youth Month 2019 is being celebrated in November under the theme Jamaican Youth Are Lit. They lead, inspire, and transform our nation. In order for young people to live up to this expectation, they must make the necessary preparation to achieve their goals. By doing so, they're also helping to make Jamaica a better place for persons to dream, live, work, raise families, and do business. Here are some more tips from Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Orlando Terrelong.
Preparation passion. Those are two things that you must never forget. Have a passion for what you want to do in life, and make sure that you are prepared to do every single thing you need to do to get to where you want to in life. It was all about putting your best self forward, making sure that you pay attention in class, making sure that you just do every single thing that you have to do to be the best that you can be, to be at the top of your game. Because the world is going to be very competitive, my kings and queens. It's very, very competitive. And if there are 100 jobs at the top, in terms of 100 CEOs, I mean, yes, you're going to work your way up, but always remember that only the best of the best, only the best of the best will get to the CEO or the executive manager or whatever. That is when you get in more money, more free time, more perks, and so forth.
And I was raised in sunshine, Jamaica, my blessed Jamaica, mighty one, oh, I bless our land always, for strength and no vigor. So let's remind ourselves and tell the world, hello, hello, I'm a Jamaican, we are Jamaicans, hello, hello, I'm a Jamaican.
This is the final stop in today's Jamaica Magazine. Thanks for joining with us. To watch today's program again, simply visit our website, jis.gov.jm. Don't forget that you're able to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Sandra, reminding you that by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Have a great weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.